My name is Erin. Today I'm going to be filming my February TBR. I still haven't quite decided how I'm going to do my wrap up. More to come there. I really liked doing a craft last year with my TBR wrap up, but I don't know how sustainable that was. I kind of stopped halfway through. I want to find something I can do that I'll be successful at. I do think my January TBR went pretty well, and I'm excited to see what I pick up in February. Okay. So I have my prompt jar here. The first one I'm going to draw out is the overarching challenge. So there are 11 still left in here. And this month I'm doing small to big. Every time I draw a book, it has to have more pages than the book before it. This is going to exclude a few, like my quick read. I don't know when that's going to come up. Those are supposed to be small. Obviously my audiobook, the vlog, things I can't control. So this TBR could get some pretty giant books. I do have a book I still haven't finished from last month. So I am going to be finishing The Art of Prophecy from January because that was the last book I was on. Non-fiction, so I have to find a tiny non-fiction. I have this on my shelf, If You Traveled West in a Covered Wagon by Ellen Levine. It is 76 pages. I haven't read this. I had it on my shelves in my classroom for a little bit, especially in 5th grade when I was teaching. We used to do, like the Oregon Trail. This will be book number 1. Okay, prop number 2. NetGalley. Okay, I didn't get to my NetGalley arc from last time, so this is going to be the same one. I'm not going to include it in my page count because I actually don't know how many pages this is, but this is City of All Seasons. I'm actually kind of glad it's towards the top of the list because I do want to be strict with myself. If I'm going to join NetGalley again, I really want to make sure I'm putting it to good use, So City of All Seasons, there are 2 cities, one stuck in winter, one stuck in summer, and they're cut off from each other, but a person from each city catches a glimpse of the other side, and I'm assuming they're going to work together to maybe get rid of the dictators that are keeping them separated, but who's to say? Okay, next up. Oh, audiobook. I have a list of like 30 audiobook wish lists that I have saved. So I do have a little bit more freedom here. There are definitely some I still need to prioritize because they continue a series. Usually if I start a series with audiobook, I try and finish it with audiobook. I don't really have any rationale for that other than it seems to make sense in my mind. I think this month I'm going to read Beyond the Wand. This is Tom Felton's autobiography, and I'm just very curious. I feel like it'll be a good memoir. I haven't read a memoir in a minute, and so I am excited about this one. Okay, next up. Ooh, okay, good timing with this one. Kids book. So I have to find something, my kids book that's more than 76 pages, which does eliminate a few of them. I'm gonna go with one of my tiny little chapter books, Animorphs, The Exposed. This is by K.A. Applegate. I have a very just random selection of Animorphs on my shelf. I always love the transformations that you get on the cover. I do need to remove the sticker. So I don't know, I'm not following the plot in these. You know what I'm saying? I just read them sporadically. There are 154 pages in this, so still a very low count to have to beat. Count well that this is the next book in the draw. Let's do standalone. Okay, I'm gonna pick up one of my new books. This is The Shadow of Perseus. Perseus is a very famous mythological character, and there are 3 women in his story that are impacted by his life, his choices, and some of them are very briefly mentioned. So the 3 women in his shadows that they're going to talk about are Danae, Medusa, and Andromeda, and they're going to each have their own little retelling according to the back of this book, which I love a good retelling. enjoying. I think putting a spotlight on the women of these stories has been really fun for me. I read Circe, and I also read a similar type of thing with Shakespeare, where the women who died, they all got to kind of finish the story they wanted, the way they wanted to, and it was one of my top books. So very excited for The Shadows of Perseus. Next up, we have Vlog. Also thought that this is towards the top of the list because I have not been getting to these. Obviously, you haven't seen a vlog from me in a minute. I have 3 book boxes left from Once Upon a Bookish Time, I think is what the box is called. When I get to this, I'll show it all off and everything. They have little gifts that go along with their books, but I don't know what the book is going to be. 24-25 release. My last book, I think, was like 250 pages, so let me see what I have on my list. I'm making a jump here, but I can't stay in the 200 page range really for long. So I'm gonna pick up Bride by Ali Hazelwood. This is 410 pages according to Goodreads. I know each edition that I get is gonna be different, especially if I'm getting it on Kindle or from my library. So 410 is the number to beat. I have seen this everywhere. I feel like people were very divided on it. It has to do with a vampire and a werewolf who fall in love, which I feel like could be really fun. I think I remember it being maybe a little bit darker, but I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, I just keep seeing it everywhere and I'm very curious. I'm kind of in that romance phase with my books right now, so I have high hopes for this one. Okay, next up. Recommended. All right, I do have a recommendation from my brother that is called A Good American Family, The Red Scare, and My Father. So this is nonfiction. My brother reads mostly nonfiction, which is why I was excited to get a recommendation from him because I feel like nonfiction is such a big scope and I have no idea where I fit in that scope yet. I've definitely found nonfiction books I like, but you know, with fantasy, I know the tropes I like, the tropes that I don't like, what fits me writing style, what doesn't, and I feel like I haven't really discovered that as much with nonfiction. I just kind of been picking up random things that I hear about. So I trust a recommendation from him. I feel like he will choose one that I will enjoy and will also be very informative. I know nothing about the Red Scare. I know it has to do with communism, but other than that, this is going to be a learning experience for me because no idea. According to Goodreads, this book has 432 pages. I do have some other recommendations, but I did choose this one this month, not only because I was excited about it, but because it fits perfectly after that 410 pages from Bride. Reread The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. I'm going to be rereading this. I want to read it with one of my book clubs because it's been a minute since I've read it. I really loved it, and I feel like the people in my book club would really love it as well. So this, fortunately, comes in at 438 pages. So it has 6 more pages than the book before, and that means it fits. This book, has stuck with me. It is one of my all-time favorite reads, and I just am so excited to get to experience that again and talk about it with people who have not read it, who are reading it for the first time, because man, do I love the questions, the reflection, the sci-fi of it all. It is just amazing, and I cannot wait to dive back into this book. Okay. Finish a series. I definitely have some chunky books that I could use to finish a series, but let me see which one makes the most sense. I'm actually gonna go with Hellbent, which I don't own. I read Ninth House, I think it was the beginning of last year. I really enjoyed it. This has 481 pages. Yeah, it's a duology, so I'll be able to finish off this duology. I think that makes a lot of sense. I really want to incentivize myself to finish series this year. Always been a goal of mine because I am bad about starting a series and then reading it for years. And so I do need to get better about that, but I also feel like I want to enjoy my reading. So I don't usually read series back to back to back, just doesn't fit my reading style. But I'm excited to get back to this one. It involves a magical school, some really dark magic. There is some trigger warnings in the first book if you pick it up. But yeah, there's secret societies. It's set at Yale. The first book was really good. Up next, our quick read. I think I'm gonna go with this one because it's been burning a hole in my shelf. It looks so cute and I just want to read it. This is Garlic and the Vampire by Bree Paulson. This is about a village of vegetables that learn that there is a vampire on its way. And obviously garlic is the choice to bring that vampire down, but garlic is a little unassuming, kind of scared little thing, and they just want to grow a garden. They don't really want to take on this vampire. They're very unsure of themselves. So I feel like it's gonna be just adorable and a fun read. Next up, classic. I've been trying to read more classics. I feel pretty good because last month I read 3 classics and enjoyed some of them. So I'm going to be picking up Catherine. This is like historical fiction romance, and it talks about the real romance between 2 people, including the Duke of Lannister. It's set in the time of like the Black Death Plague. There's knights, there's sword fighting. I'm sure it's going to be interesting. I don't know, maybe a little bit slow. It is 500 pages. Yeah, 500 pages exactly, which is getting long for a classic, but also I feel like there are a lot of classics that are that long and sometimes are meandering, which is my least favorite thing about a classic, and so we'll see. Next up, we have start a series. I'm gonna finish a duology and start a duology. I have Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. I've heard such good things about this duology. I've heard about how unique it is. I don't really know much about it. I haven't even read the back of this, to be honest. I'm just going off of the good things I've heard from trusted YouTube sources. So I am a little bit nervous. Like I said, with classics, I'm not as big on a meandering story, and I feel like that's something I've heard about this one, is that it's a little bit slow and wandering, but it has also been a while since this has come out and been in the spotlight, so I could be misremembering, to be honest. Let's see, how many pages? 536. Okay, then we have sequel. We are getting into some big books here. Yeah, this one is also a jump. Page number wise, probably won't get to it. To be honest, I've already have some big books on the list and I still haven't even started with the small ones yet. But if I get to it, I'm going to be picking up The Republic of Thieves. This is in the General and Bastard series. It's number 3. I might be also finishing a series. I'm not entirely sure. But I love book 1 and book 2 in this. The friendships, the devastation, and the shenanigans are all like 5-star. So if any of those 3 words are things you like, this is going to be a good series for you. It is just a good mix of silliness and hijinks and then gut-wrenching moments. It is dark. People die. So be ready for that, but it's 100% worth it. This one does jump up to 650 pages. So, whew. Few more, I think 2 more left. We have YouTube or podcast. Again, I know I'm not going to get to this one, but this is The Will of the Many by James Islington. This is another one that I just keep hearing about, and it has to do with academia. I know there is like a nefarious plot happening in the background while this person is trying to go to school. Could I tell you more about it? No. But when I hear dark academia, you don't really have to say more than that. So another super chunky book. It'll probably be back on the list because I do really want to get to this one. I don't know that will happen this month though. Hilariously, we have one draw left and it is Big Book, which just really fits. I have another classic on the list, The Betrothed, and it is 720 pages. I've definitely read bigger books. Brandon Sanderson often has like 1,000-page books, same with Wheel of Time. But for a classic, that is a big ask for me. It is another, I don't know if it's romance or romance gone wrong. It starts with 2 young lovers who are forced to separate and deal with lots of the problems of the time, from the plague to misogyny to imprisonment. All sorts of things go wrong, it sounds like. I don't know if it's going to have a happy ending or not, but it'll be interesting to find out. Here are some of the books I'll be reading, not in the right order, but here they are. I have a lot of books this month that are not on my shelf. Last month, my challenge was to pick books only off my shelf. This month, I get to venture out a little bit more, make use of my library and my Kindle. So that'll be exciting. They are still like dedicated picks. I'm not just going all over the place with them. So I feel okay with the fact that I have a mix of books on and off my shelf. Let me know what you are reading in February. I'm just now realizing it's kind of a month of love and I don't have a lot of romance or any maybe 2 or 3 on this list, and I don't think any of them are guaranteed happy endings. So I'm never really one that reads for the mood of the month, but if you are, let me know what you're reading, and I will see you later. Bye, friends.